Yes guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be speaking about why training harder does not equal more success. And it's a really important video because these are the exact things I speak about with my clients. So what I do is I mentor professional footballers, helping them elevate their mind so they can elevate their game. And I've worked with players in the Premier League, down to League Two, to players in Europe, and even players in Canada. So it's going to be a really important video if you're a player who is interested in tapping into their true potential and really seeing the success they actually desire. And what I have to say is, most players do not see the success they desire despite all their efforts. And I want you to look at your career, look at players around you, and look at patterns you see within football and within sports. Now, have you always seen success when you've trained extremely hard? Has training harder always led to more success for you? And look at players around you. We all know a player who puts in all the work, seems to do everything right, but for some reason they don't see the rewards for what they do. They're not rewarded for what they do. They train hard, they do all this stuff, but for some reason it's like they're just not progressing. And even in my career, when I was playing football, you know, there was times for me when I would train really hard, and I would still not see what I wanted to see. I would not reap the rewards for all my hard work. And then I was thinking, like why is this? Like, because growing up, we're always taught that if you work harder, you're gonna get better results, more success. And the older I get, and the more I study football, sports, and how the world really works, is that that's not the case. That's not the case at all, because there's other players that were around me who wouldn't train anywhere near as hard as me, but they were able to win. They were succeeding and they weren't even putting in as much work as me. And I was thinking, like, how is this? If I'm working so hard, why are they winning and I'm not? And that's when I went on to study how the mind works, how reality works, how the universe works. And I began finding the secrets to what actually makes somebody successful within their field. And that's exactly what I'm going to be speaking about in today's video. So make sure you're paying attention. Now, if you really want to understand how to succeed in your field, then you have to understand how life works, how us as humans work, how the universe works, and how reality works. Now, you have to understand we're all governed by universal law, whether you like it or not. I'm going to give you a real simple one: gravity. You can't see gravity, you can't do anything about it, but you're governed by it. You can't defy gravity. Gravity is a law, and you have to work around it if you want to succeed. And it's the same way that we work as humans in regards to the universe and how life truly works. Now, the most simple and basic thing you have to understand is that your mind reflects your reality. Reality is a mirror. There's a saying that goes, as within, as without. And that basically means that your internal state is basically the same as your external state. Whatever you have within you will ultimately manifest and materialize outside of you. Now, the reason why I say this now is because too many players only focus on the physical. Train. And that's all external stuff. They completely neglect their internal state and they're wondering why they're not elevating. Now, let me give you an example. If you are a player who feels unlucky within them, they feel unworthy within them, they feel like things always go wrong, they feel like there's a limit onto what they can achieve, because that is what they have inside of them, that is exactly what will reflect in their reality. Now, with that being said, you have to understand that no amount of training can allow you to elevate higher than your mind state. You can't out train a bad mind. If you're unfit within, you're going to experience unfit experiences outside of yourself. If you feel unlucky within, you're going to have experiences in football that reflect your unluckiness. Do you understand? Now, I want you to really think about what feelings do you feel about yourself internally that you seem to always come across in your reality in football, because it's these things that are the most important things that you have to look at in football, because nothing is by accident, nothing is a mistake. Everything you go through is caused within you first. Think of your mind as a GPS. Now, what you have to understand is that your mind is the beginning and the end for all you can achieve in anything you do. Now, when I say think of your mind as a GPS, I want you to think of it like this. Okay, cool. Imagine, like I was saying before, you are a player who just feels unworthy. Yeah. Because that is what you feel within you, ultimately, that is the GPS destination that you have set for your reality, and that reality will unfold in your career. Now, no matter what you do in between your starting point and your destination, cannot change the outcome, because your internal state reflects this. And as I just said, you cannot out train a bad mind. So because your mind is already messed up to begin with, you already feel unlucky, unworthy, not good enough, like you're gonna run into problems. Because that's where you're starting, that is ultimately where you're going to end. No matter what you do in between, you can do all the training, you can work as hard as you want, but your mindset will always catch up. It will always catch up. You cannot out train a bad mind. Now, things may change for a week or two or a few months, but guess what's going to happen? Something is going to set off an imbalance that's going to bring you right back to where you always are, that negativity. Because you have to understand how the universe works. It likes equilibrium. Now, as I was saying, your internal state reflects your external state, and the universe likes balance. And that balance can be in the good or in the bad. But if you're a player who is used to experiencing negativity within your career, that has become your normal and that's become your balance. So whenever you try and elevate higher, the universe will try its hardest to bring you back down, because it likes balance. And that is the reason why it's so hard to change and so hard to actually elevate. Because if you don't know what's actually going on with you internally, you're always going to be finding conflict in your career, and it's going to be a reoccurring situation and reoccurring scenarios in your career until you change yourself internally. And that's exactly what I'm going to get onto as the video goes on. Now, my next point is understanding the universal law called the law of cause and effect. Now, like I was saying before, most people think that they can just train, and that will change something. But the law of cause and effect ultimately clearly says that there's always a cause and there's always an effect. There's always a result. Something always causes the result. But what most people do is that they try and train, not understanding that the cause is always their mind. Always. The cause is always going to be internally, and the effect will always be, and in reality, will always be external. So, with that being said, you cannot change an effect by changing an effect. You can't do anything in the physical to change the physical. You have to change internally if you want to see change in the physical. Training more can only act as a vehicle, it's not the actual change. Does that make sense? That is a law of cause and effect. So, do not try and change harder to see external change. Change yourself internally to see external change. It's as simple as that. Now, this is where it gets a bit deeper now. So, if you truly want to change yourself internally so you can begin to actually see the results that you want, the secret to that is to stop thinking from the perspective of where you are and begin thinking from the perspective of where you want to be. Now, remember how I said to you before that your mind is the beginning and the end for all you can achieve in life, in your career, in your sport, whatever it is. What I mean there is that You have to understand how the universe thinks. Don't think like a human for a second. You have to understand how the universe works so you can master this now. To us, there's a past, a present, and a future. To the universe, there is only now. There is only the present. So, by you thinking, I want to be this person in the future, that doesn't register to the universe. You have to become the player you want to be now so the universe can pick up on your internal state and begin giving you situations, scenarios, and opportunities that reflect yourself internally. Stop waiting and stop thinking about when I get there, then I'll be this player, then I'll be happy, then I'll feel worthy, then I'll feel confident. You have to trick your mind into thinking like that player now, and then the universe will reflect that. And then now you have a solid foundation to go and train upon because now your mind is in the correct place. The way you do this now is forget thinking about where you are right now. I want you to think about the player that you want to be in the future. Who is the who is the you that has reached their potential? How do they think? What beliefs do they occupy about themselves and about football? What do they find true about football? Is football hard? Is it going to be hard to get to the top? If you were that player that you wanted to be, how would you think? And I'm going to give you an example. If you were the player that you wanted to be today, you'd probably find that everything would be smooth. When you step on the pitch, you'd feel confident. You'd believe in yourself. You'd know you are that guy. You'd know you are that player that you want to be. You know you're going to play well. You'll exude confidence because you are already the player that you want to be. If let's say you're a striker or a winger, you'd believe you're going to score. You're scoring. Whenever the ball comes to you, you're beating your man. You're getting a shot off. And even if things do go wrong, because you know who you are, you can snap back into it immediately. The problem is that players think from where they are now, and of course that's the natural way to think. If you don't understand how the universe works, that is why I am here. That's exactly why I teach and work on with my clients, so they can begin to see the results that they want in their career, so they can actually achieve what they desire, so they can tap into their true potential. And if you're a professional player who wants to tap into their true potential, DM me on Instagram and we'll definitely get to work. But it's these things right here that you have to really work on. Step into the shoes of being the player that you already want to be. How do you think? How do you feel? What actions would you take? How would you live? All these things are super, super important. And once you have these things in place, once you have the mental foundation of where you want to be, then go and train. That is when training becomes its most effective because your mind is in the right place. See what I'm saying? That's the secret to it. That's the trick to it. Seriously, stop saying that in the future I'm going to be this person, I'm going to be this player. It's all about now. There is only now. Align with the player that you want to be now, today. Stop waiting because to the universe there is only now. You understand that there is only now, there is no future. Every time you indicate, every time you think of yourself in the future, it's not registering because there's only now. You understand? There's only now. So become the player that you want to be now. Even if your external reality doesn't immediately reflect your internal state. That is why you have to begin to maintain that internal state, which will then lead to reality catching up to you. Don't let reality dictate you. You dictate reality through your internal state. That is what the elite players do. If you look at any elite person across any field, they will always say that I knew I was this person before anybody believed it, before reality showed it to me. They were that person years before they actually became it in reality. Stop letting reality dictate how you feel, what you believe, all this stuff. Your internal state is the most important thing. So once you begin working on your internal state, it's important to guard your internal state like it's a baby. Don't let anyone else's beliefs reflect anything on you. Don't let anybody tell you anything. If you know who you are internally and you're able to maintain that for long enough, eventually reality will catch up, meaning that you'll begin attracting the situations, scenarios, and opportunities that align with you. And that could be playing more, playing better, scoring goals, attracting opportunities, new teams being interested in you, stuff like that, better contracts, and anything you want, you will achieve it. Anything, literally, this is how it works. You are the secret key to unlocking all the doors. Once you have the correct mind state and you're in the correct mind frame and state of mind, that is when you go and train. That is when you go and take action. And that is when you will see success. Because now your GPS has changed. You're already successful internally. Your start is successful, therefore your end is successful. Because to the universe, it's all one. Like I said, there's only now. The start and the end is now. Do you understand that? So now you go and take action. Now you go and train as hard as you want. Now you go and do what you know you have to do in the physical. And that is when success will definitely take place because it's a universal law and that is how reality works. That is how reality works. That is how the world works. Now, if you're a player and you're serious about getting to the top, DM me on Instagram and we'll definitely get to work.